Stay informed, stay ahead. Subscribe now to USA Fresh News.
Today in USA Fresh News. Good morning, America, and welcome to your essential update on this Wednesday, September 17th, 2025. In a major development, Utah prosecutors are seeking the death penalty for the suspect in the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, revealing chilling text messages that appear to confess to the crime at a Utah rally. Domestically, FBI Director Kash Patel faced a tense Senate oversight hearing, reassuring lawmakers of his fitness to lead amid concerns over his Trump loyalty and lack of experience. At the Federal Reserve, the board voted to cut rates by 50 basis points, with Governor Lisa Cook's voice prevailing in a narrow decision following her court victory against ouster, while new Governor Miran pushed for bolder action. Heartbreak lingers with vigils for Kirk, fueling debates on political violence and online extremism. Internationally, Israeli armored vehicles advanced along the Gaza border, escalating the war as ceasefire hopes fade, and NATO condemned Russia's drone incursions over Poland, vowing stronger defenses. In sports, the Philadelphia Eagles stunned the Kansas City Chiefs 20-17 in a Super Bowl rematch, while MLB rookie Nick Kurtz crushed a record grand slam for the Diamondbacks. Weather alert. Isolated severe thunderstorms loom over the Great Plains, with marginal excessive rainfall risks in the southeast and northern plains. As tensions rise and markets rally, this is your pulse on the nation. Stay informed, stay safe.
So let's see, or listen. Let's dive into the heartbeat of America on this Wednesday, September 17th, 2025, where the day's headlines pulse with urgency and consequence. We're starting with the top U.S. stories that are gripping the nation, stories that ripple through our streets, wallets, and screens with real stakes for every one of us. First up, the shocking assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, whose death at a Utah rally has sent shockwaves nationwide. Utah prosecutors dropped a bombshell today, seeking the death penalty for the 24-year-old suspect, whose chilling text messages, confessing to the shooting and citing personal grudges tied to Kirk's rhetoric, were unveiled in court. The 32-year-old Turning Point USA founder was gunned down with 2 others wounded, and vigils lit up Orem and beyond, with supporters decrying a backlash that cost dozens of jobs after inflammatory posts resurfaced. This isn't just a headline. It's a raw wound on America's polarized soul, echoing the 2022 Paul Pelosi attack that spurred debates on political violence. Schools are now ramping up security drills, and Trump's floated arming teachers, a polarizing echo that's rallied his base but alarmed educators. Economically, the $20 million in nationwide security upgrades siphons funds from classrooms, while the suspect's mental health history fuels calls for better support over firepower. For families, it's a gut punch, reviving a national conversation on extremism as the trial looms. Shifting to the Federal Reserve, where a historic rate cut has just unfolded, marking a turning point in economic policy. The board voted 4-3 to slash rates by 50 basis points, a move driven by Governor Lisa Cook's narrow victory in a legal battle to stay on the board. Trump's attempt to oust her over alleged 2021 mortgage fraud, claims of listing 2 homes as primary residences for better loan rates, hit a wall yesterday when a D.C. Circuit ruling upheld a district judge's block, citing the need for cause to remove governors. Cook's dovish stance tipped the scales, countering new Governor Miran's push for aggressive growth, confirmed by the Senate in a 48-27 vote. Markets reacted swiftly, with the Dow jumping 1.2% and bonds rallying, but critics warn this could reignite inflation, hitting retirees on fixed incomes hardest. Think higher grocery bills in the months ahead. Historically, this echoes the 2008 rate cuts that stabilized markets but sparked long-term inflation debates. For you, it means cheaper loans for a car or home, a lifeline for small businesses in Texas still reeling from last year's storms, but also a gamble on future costs. The Fed's independence hangs in the balance as Trump's team eyes a Supreme Court appeal, potentially reshaping monetary policy for decades. Domestically, the deployment of 500 National Guard troops to Memphis under Trump's Operation Safe Streets initiative is sparking intense debate. The city's homicide rate jumped 30% this year, driven by gang rivalries and illegal firearms, prompting armored patrols and checkpoints in high-crime zones like Orange Mound. Trump hailed it as a law and order renaissance, and local business owners see hope. Safer blocks could boost foot traffic to their shops. But the mayor warns of militarization, citing the 2023 Tyre-Nichols beating that fractured police trust, a concern amplified as residents adjust school routes and kids miss programs. The $50 million first quarter tab, drawn from DOJ grants, might lift tax revenues if crime dips, but risks lawsuits or boycotts if tensions flare. Compare this to the 1990s LA deployments. Short-term crime drops faded without social investment, and here the challenge is bridging divides, a legacy-defining test for Trump's urban policy as patrols hit their second day. Then there's the FBI oversight hearing, where Director Kash Patel faced a grilling from Senate lawmakers. Appointed by Trump last month, Patel's lack of traditional law enforcement experience, replaced by a decade as a loyalist, raised red flags, with Democrats questioning his fitness to lead amid probes into his role in the 2020 election fallout. He reassured the panel of his commitment, but the 3-hour session exposed partisan rifts, with Republicans praising his outsider perspective. Economically, this could shift DOJ priorities. $500 million in grants might pivot from community policing to election security, affecting urban crime funding. Socially, it's a trust test. Patel's tenure could deepen public skepticism, echoing J. Edgar Hoover's controversial reign, as 60% of Americans in a new poll express concern over political bias in the Bureau. Internationally, the U.S. military strike on a Venezuelan narco-terrorist boat off Curacao has escalated tensions. Announced by Trump, the pre-dawn raid by Navy SEALs and Coast Guard killed 3 suspects and seized 2 tons of fentanyl, a 20% spike in overdose deaths this year driving the action. Framed as a blow to Maduro's regime, it's personal for families in Ohio and West Virginia. But sanctions on Venezuelan oil could raise gas prices, hitting your wallet. The State Department hints at tougher measures, while Russia and China back Maduro, risking global oil market jitters. Prices edged up 1% today. Historically, Reagan's drug war tactics yielded similar wins with diplomatic costs. And here, the long game, cutting supply at the source, remains elusive without deeper intervention, a move Trump's avoided so far. These stories weave a narrative of action and introspection. Kirk's death mirrors our divisions, the Fed's cut shapes your finances, Memphis tests order versus equity, Patel's hearing probes trust, and the Venezuela strike balances safety and cost. As markets rally and communities mourn, the day's stakes are clear. Let's keep peeling back the layers. Let's keep the momentum going as we peel back more layers of this Wednesday, September 17, 2025, turning our gaze to secondary but no less impactful stories shaping the U.S. and the world. The international stage is heating up, starting with Israel's military push along the Gaza border, a move that sent shockwaves through the Middle East. Israeli armored vehicles rolled in overnight, targeting Hamas tunnels after a rocket barrage killed 2 settlers near Sderot. Ceasefire hopes, brokered by Egypt and Qatar, evaporated as Netanyahu vowed total victory, a stance that's drawn condemnation from the UN and a 10% drop in Tel Aviv stock values. For Americans, this hits home. $3.8 billion in annual U.S. military aid to Israel could see tighter scrutiny in Congress, where 40% of lawmakers now favor conditions on human rights. Historically, the 2014 Gaza war killed 2,200 and cost $4 billion in damages. Today's escalation risks a similar toll, with Gaza's 2 million residents facing power cuts and food shortages. Socially, pro-Palestinian protests swelled in Chicago and New York, mirroring 2021's unrest, while families here pray for peace amid rising anti-Semitic incidents, up 15% this year per ADL data. Across the Atlantic, NATO's response to Russia's drone incursions over Poland is hardening the alliance's stance. 2 drones were downed yesterday near Rzeszów, a key logistics hub for Ukraine aid, prompting NATO's military committee to pledge $200 million in enhanced air defenses. Russia claims they were lost en route to Ukraine, but Poland's government calls it an act of war, escalating tensions in a conflict that's already cost $500 billion in European economic losses since 2022. For U.S. taxpayers, this means a potential $50 million boost to defense budgets, with Lockheed Martin stocks rising 2% on the news. Culturally, it's a throwback to Cold War vigilance. Polish families stockpile supplies, echoing the 1980s, while American veterans rally support online. The economic ripple? Higher energy costs if Russia retaliates with gas cuts, a 5% price hike already felt at Midwest gas stations. Shifting to policy, the EPA's latest move to overhaul the Clean Energy Act is stirring controversy. The agency proposed easing emissions standards for coal plants, citing energy security after last winter's grid strains, a shift from Biden's 2035 net zero push. Environmental groups sued today, arguing it'll add 20 million tons of CO2 annually, while coal states like West Virginia cheer a $300 million jobs boost. Compare this to the 2015 Clean Power Plan, which cut emissions 10% but faced legal battles. Today's rollback could face a similar fate, with the Supreme Court's docket already packed. For you, it's warmer winters but pricier summers if air conditioning costs rise and rural communities gain jobs while urbanites brace for heatwave health risks. Hospitals report 200 heat-related cases in Phoenix this month alone. On the immigration front, a DHS pilot in Arizona is testing a new border security app, allowing migrants to schedule asylum interviews via smartphone. Launched in Tucson, it processed 1,000 claims in 48 hours, cutting border wait times by 30%, but critics say it's a loophole for trafficking, with 50 arrests linked to fake profiles. Economically, it could save $100 million in detention costs, funneling funds to border tech firms like Palantir, up 3% in pre-market trading. Socially, it's a lifeline for families from Guatemala, reducing desert crossings down 15% this week, but Arizona ranchers report $2 million in crop losses from trespassers. Historically, the 1986 amnesty program boosted labor markets. This pilot's success hinges on enforcement, a debate heating up as midterms loom. Economically, the NEA budget cut proposal is igniting a cultural firestorm. The White House seeks to slash $150 million from the agency's $200 million fund, arguing for private arts investment, a move echoing Reagan's 1980s cuts that sparked a $1 billion nonprofit surge. Artists in Detroit and LA rallied today, with galleries losing 10% of grants. Think shuttered community theaters and laid-off staff. For you, it's fewer local festivals. But tax breaks for donors could spur $50 million in private cash. Socially, it's a divide. Urban creatives feel abandoned, while rural voters back fiscal restraint, a tension shaping cultural identity as the bill heads to markup. Diplomatically, U.S.-China trade tensions flared over steel tariffs, with Beijing slapping 25% duties on U.S. soybeans after Trump's 10% hike on Chinese imports. Farmers in Iowa lost $200 million in exports, but steelworkers in Pittsburgh gained 500 jobs, a trade-off echoing the 2018 tariff war that cost $12 billion net. Markets dipped 0.8% on fears of escalation, with Walmart warning of higher prices. Expect $5 more for a cart by year-end. Culturally, it's a clash of industrial pride versus global supply chains, with American flags waving at rallies and Chinese consumers boycotting U.S. brands. These stories, Israel's war, NATO's defense, EPA's pivot, Arizona's app, NEA's cuts, and China's tariffs, paint a world in flux. They touch your gas pump, your art scene, your border security, and your global ties. As the day unfolds, the stakes grow. Let's stay connected to what matters.
Sports. Good morning, sports fans, and welcome to your Wednesday, September 17th, 2025, roundup of the biggest moments on the field, court, and rink, where action and stakes collide with cultural and economic ripples. Let's kick off with the NFL, where the Philadelphia Eagles stunned the Kansas City Chiefs 20-17 in a thrilling Super Bowl rematch on Monday night. Jalen Hurts threw for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns, outdueling Patrick Mahomes, whose late interception sealed the Chiefs' first loss. The game, watched by 22 million viewers, boosted Philly's local economy with $15 million in bar and merch sales, while Kansas City fans braced for a playoff recalibration. Culturally, it's a rivalry, reborn. Eagles green flooded social media, with hashtag #FlyEaglesFly trending at 1.2 million posts, echoing the 2018 Super Bowl euphoria that united a city still healing from economic downturns. In MLB, the Arizona Diamondbacks rookie, Nick Kurtz, made history with a record-setting grand slam against the Dodgers, propelling a 7-4 upset that tightened the NL West race. The 21-year-old's 450-foot blast, caught on viral fan cams, sparked $5 million in ticket sales for the season's stretch run, a lifeline for Phoenix businesses. Economically, MLB's playoff push could inject $1.2 billion nationally, with Kurtz's jersey sales up 40%, a cultural icon in the making, reminiscent of Aaron Judge's 2022 breakout. The Dodgers, meanwhile, clinched their division, with fans in LA spending $10 million on watch parties, blending Hollywood glitz with grassroots pride. Over in tennis, the U.S. Open semifinals delivered drama as Jannik Sinner edged Carlos Alcaraz 7-2-6, 6-2-4 in a 2-hour slugfest at Flushing Meadows. Sinner's relentless baseline game secured his spot in the final against Daniil Medvedev, with ticket scalpers raking in $2 million as New Yorkers flocked to the event. Culturally, it's a global showcase. Sinner's Italian roots and Alcaraz's Spanish flair drew 15 million online viewers, boosting tourism and apparel sales by 8%. Economically, the tournament's $600 million impact on NYC underscores tennis's urban pull, a trend since the 1990s Open boom. Soccer fans rejoiced as MLS saw LAFC edge Inter Miami 2-1, with Lionel Messi's 90th-minute goal attempt saved by a heroic dive, ending his scoring streak. The match, attended by 27,000 in LA, pumped $8 million into local eateries, while Miami's tourism dipped 5% without Messi's magic. Culturally, it's a Latin American fiesta. Spanish chants echoed, with hashtag MESSI magic trending at 800,000 posts, reflecting soccer's growing U.S. footprint since the 1994 World Cup. Economically, MLS's $5 billion valuation rides on such rivalries, with sponsorships up 12%. Finally, Olympic hockey roster prep is heating up, with USA Hockey naming 15 players for the 2026 Milan Games, including Austin Matthews and Alex Ovechkin. Training camps in Colorado drew 10,000 fans, injecting $3 million into local hotels, a preview of the $1 billion economic lift expected from the games. Culturally, it's a patriotic surge. Hockey's blue-collar roots resonate, with hashtag Team USA trending at 600,000 posts, echoing the 1980 Miracle on Ice legacy. For players, it's a career peak. For fans, a unifying spectacle amid global tensions. From NFL showdowns to Olympic dreams, sports today blend competition with economic vitality and cultural identity. Tune in for more.
Weather. Good morning, America. And let's turn our attention to the skies and the ground beneath us on this Wednesday, September 17th, 2025, where weather is shaping the nation in dramatic ways. We're diving into the national outlook, spotlighting extreme events, drawing historical parallels, and exploring the social and economic impacts that follow. This isn't just about checking the forecast. It's about understanding how nature's moods affect our daily lives from coast to coast. Let's start with the big picture. A sprawling weather system is stirring across the central U.S. A slow-moving cold front is triggering isolated severe thunderstorms over the Great Plains, with the National Weather Service issuing warnings for Oklahoma and Kansas. Golf ball-sized hail and winds up to 70 mph have already downed power lines, leaving 15,000 homes dark in Wichita. The forecast predicts a marginal risk of excessive rainfall, up to 3 inches in spots, echoing the 2019 Midwest floods that submerged 1 million acres of farmland. For residents, it's a scramble. Schools in Tulsa closed early, and farmers brace for $50 million in crop losses if fields flood. Economically, this hits hard. Grain prices could rise 5%, squeezing bread and livestock costs, while utility repairs might cost $20 million, a burden passed to ratepayers. In the southeast, a lingering moisture plume from the Gulf is bringing scattered showers and cool temperatures to Florida and Georgia. Pensacola saw 2 inches of rain overnight, keeping roads slick and prompting flood watches through midday. This pattern mirrors the 2024 Hurricane Debby aftermath, which left $5 billion in damages. And while today's event is milder, it's a reminder of vulnerability. 50,000 homes still lack flood insurance here. Socially, it's a community effort. Volunteers sandbagged rivers, echoing the 1990s storm responses. But low-income areas face the brunt, with 20% of residents unable to evacuate. Economically, citrus growers could lose $100 million if groves stay waterlogged and tourism dips as beaches empty, costing $10 million in coastal revenues. Contrast that with the Mid-Atlantic, where breezy winds and scattered showers are sweeping through. Washington, D.C. and Baltimore are seeing gusts up to 40 mph, toppling trees and causing 10,000 power outages. Think flickering lights during rush hour. This ties to a cold front clashing with warm Atlantic air, a setup similar to the 2018 nor'easter that disrupted 500 flights. Socially, it's a logistical headache. Commuters reroute and schools delay openings, while emergency crews clear debris. Economically, utility repairs could hit $15 million, and port delays in Baltimore, handling $50 billion in annual cargo, might slow shipments, nudging inflation slightly as goods like auto parts stack up. Up in the Northeast, unseasonably cool air is settling in, with Boston dipping to 55 degrees and New York City at 58 degrees C, below the typical mid-September warmth. This is driven by a high-pressure ridge, reminiscent of the 2015 cool snap that boosted apple harvests. Farmers in Vermont report a 10% yield increase, adding $5 million to local economies, while residents enjoy sweater weather, hiking tourism up 8%. Socially, it's a welcome break. Parks fill with families, but allergy sufferers note a 5% rise in cases due to mold from recent rains. Economically, heating delays save $50 million in energy costs, though winter bills might spike later. Now, let's zoom to the extremes. In the northern plains, a surprise early cold front dumped 6 inches of snow on the Dakotas, closing I-94 and stranding 100 drivers. Unusual for mid-September, but not unprecedented, like the 2013 blizzard that buried Fargo under 10 inches. Ranchers face $30 million in livestock losses if pastures freeze. But ski areas in South Dakota see hope, saving $10 million in snowmaking costs. Socially, it's a community push. Snowplows and volunteers echo pioneer resilience. In the West, a heatwave persists, with Phoenix hitting 102 degrees, taxing the grid with 2,000 megawatts above average for air conditioning. This mirrors the 2020 heat wave that killed 300, and today's moderate fire risk keeps crews on alert. Hospitals report 100 heatstroke cases, mostly workers, while schools shift to virtual learning. The broader impact: weather drives a $1.2 trillion U.S. economy segment, agriculture, energy, tourism, all feeling the pinch or boost. Historically, the 1900 Galveston hurricane, $30 billion today, spurred disaster policy. Today's events push for $80 billion in federal climate funds under debate. Socially, it's resilience with disparities. Low-income areas in the Southeast struggle most. For you, it's higher food prices if crops fail, pricier insurance if storms multiply, or an early ski day if snow holds. As this weather saga unfolds, it's a reminder of nature's power. Stay tuned as the forecast evolves.